I think what I'm talking about at large is where we've become a society so invested in branding that people themselves exist only as a brand.
Sean Penn, celebrated for his distinguished acting career, is equally known for his fervent political engagement and unabashed critique of figures he thinks detrimental to society. Throughout his life, Penn has utilized his platform to champion progressive causes, address global humanitarian crises, and call out what he sees as injustices. His outspoken nature has rendered him both a hero to liberal activists and a lightning rod for conservative criticism. But what has he done lately that has made Republicans angry? Let's find out.
I think in the United States, Donald Trump is guilty most of being a adolescent influencer of cheap thought. And cheap thought is very expensive. Again, I go back to what America should be searching for in a Democrat or a Republican. It's an aspirational figure, not someone you hang your lowest denominator.
Sean Penn's political ideology leans strongly towards progressive values. His commitment to social justice, environmental sustainability, and the fight against systemic inequality has been evident in his activism, filmmaking, and public commentary. Unlike many celebrities who dip cautiously into political waters, Penn has consistently placed himself at the forefront of controversial debates, unafraid of backlash. One notable example of Penn's dedication to activism is his work in Haiti. In 2010, following the catastrophic earthquake that devastated the island, Penn founded the JP Haitian Relief Organization, now CORE. Under his leadership, the organization provided critical medical care, housing, and infrastructure development. His work earned widespread praise, including recognition from the United Nations. However, detractors questioned his motives, accusing him of seeking publicity rather than genuine change, an accusation he vehemently denied. Domestically, he's often taken a combative stance against U.S. foreign policies, particularly those that involve military intervention. He's openly criticized both Republican and Democratic administrations for what he sees as warmongering and exploitation of vulnerable nations. Penn's political engagements have not been without controversy. His meetings with global leaders, especially those with contentious reputations, have sparked intense debates. His relationship with Venezuela's late president Hugo Chavez was particularly polarizing. Penn praised Chavez's socialist policies and spoke out against U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, framing them as imperialist aggression. Critics, however, accused Penn of glossing over the authoritarian aspects of Chavez's regime and the economic turmoil under his leadership. In 2016, Penn conducted a secretive interview with Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman for Rolling Stone magazine. The meeting, which occurred while Guzman was a fugitive, attracted criticism from journalists and law enforcement alike. Many questioned whether Penn's actions hindered efforts to capture Guzman and whether his motivations were journalistic or self-serving. Penn's outspoken disdain for Donald Trump emerged prominently during the 2016 presidential campaign. Trump's rise to political prominence, marked by his inflammatory rhetoric and polarizing policies, alarmed Penn. The actor lambasted Trump as a symbol of America's moral and cultural decline, accusing him of exploiting fear and division for personal gain. In an op-ed for The Daily Beast, Penn described Trump as a methane balloon that threatened to implode and destroy the nation. He likened Trump's rhetoric to a corrosive force that eroded the foundational principles of democracy. Penn frequently cited Trump's controversial statements on immigration, race, and gender as evidence of his unfitness for office. The actor's criticisms extended beyond policy to Trump's personality. Penn labeled the future president as a narcissist and opportunist, arguing that his lack of humility and empathy rendered him incapable of genuine leadership. In interviews, Penn expressed disbelief that such a figure could gain traction among American voters, blaming what he called a culture of sensationalism for prioritizing entertainment over substance. Penn's condemnation resonated with liberal audiences but drew ire from conservatives, who dismissed his remarks as elitist grandstanding. This backlash, however, did little to deter Penn, who remained resolute in his opposition to Trump. Following Donald Trump's re-election, Sean Penn's outrage reached a fever pitch. For Penn, the election results represented not only a reaffirmation of Trump's leadership, but also a troubling indictment of American values. In interviews and public statements, he expressed deep disappointment, arguing that the country had failed to learn from the mistakes of Trump's first term. Penn was particularly critical of Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, which he saw as emblematic of the administration's incompetence. He accused Trump of prioritizing political optics over public health, citing delayed responses, misinformation, and a lack of coordination as key factors in the pandemic's devastating toll on American lives. To Penn, Trump's re-election symbolized the normalization of such failures and a dangerous disregard for accountability. In a fiery appearance on a political podcast, Penn remarked, "We've entered a period where truth and leadership have been traded for spectacle and division. Re-electing Trump isn't just a failure of governance, it's a failure of conscience." His words echoed the sentiment of many progressive critics, but also reignited partisan tensions. The response from Trump supporters and Republican commentators was swift and harsh. Many accused Penn of undermining the democratic process by refusing to accept the legitimacy of Trump's re-election. Conservative pundits labeled him as part of the Hollywood elite, out of touch with the realities faced by everyday Americans. Penn's detractors frequently pointed to his controversial past as evidence of his hypocrisy. His ties to figures like Chavez and his meeting with El Chapo were dredged up as examples of what they saw as moral inconsistency. Social media became a background, with memes and posts mocking Penn's political statements and activism spreading rapidly. Despite the vitriol, Penn remained steadfast. He refused to back down from his critiques, arguing that silence in the face of what he viewed as injustice was not an option. For Penn, the backlash was a small price to pay for speaking out against what he considered a dangerous trajectory for the country. His political journey highlights the complex role of celebrities in public discourse. On one hand, figures like Penn have unparalleled platforms that can amplify critical issues and mobilize public action. On the other hand, their involvement often polarizes audiences and risks oversimplifying nuanced topics. Critics of celebrity activism argue that individuals like Penn lack the expertise to navigate complex political landscapes. They contend that the influence of celebrity voices can drown out those of experts and community leaders. Supporters, however, counter that Penn's dedication and willingness to engage deeply with issues set him apart from mere performative activism. Penn's dual identity as an artist and activist also raises questions about the intersection of creativity and advocacy. Films like The Last Face, which he directed, reflect his commitment to humanitarian issues, but have also been criticized for perceived heavy-handedness. This duality underscores the challenges celebrities face when blending their art with activism. His political views and controversies paint a portrait of a man deeply committed to his principles, regardless of the personal or professional costs. His critiques of Donald Trump, both during the 2016 campaign and following the 2020 re-election, serve as a microcosm of his broader concerns about leadership, democracy, and the direction of American society. While his outspokenness has drawn significant backlash, it's also solidified his role as a prominent voice in the cultural and political landscape. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think more celebrities who are against Trump will eventually leave Hollywood and/or the country? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.